It's August, which means preseason football is here, which means the NFL season is around the corner. And with every NFL season is a new release of Madden. I don't know about you, but I've played every Madden since 2004. And as a kid, these Madden ratings meant everything. That's how I knew how good a player was. So I take these ratings pretty seriously. So I'm defending the little kid. I'm defending the new generation who probably plays more Madden than they actually watch NFL games. So in this video, I'm reacting to every rating, the top 10 at every position, and I'm evaluating Madden. Are they correct or are they jabronis? Are they right or are they wrong? Did EA Sports get these Madden ratings right? If that sounds good, Gronk, spike the like button and let me know in the comments. Are you playing Madden this year? Do you play Madden? And also, what's the most egregious rating that you've seen so far? Let's get to it. Let's react to every position, every team, and everything in between. Let's go. Let's begin with the quarterback position, and we're going to make our way through every position. First of all, Josh Allen gets a 99, as well as Lamar Jackson, both the top quarterbacks in the game. I think if anyone watched the NFL last year, you would 100% agree with these rankings. They're the MVPs of the two past seasons in the NFL, and either one of them could have won the MVP last year or this year. Pretty simple, right? And I totally agree. These are my two top quarterbacks in the NFL right now, the most dynamic difference makers at the position, and probably the two best to play with in Madden as well. Josh Allen with his cannon for an arm, as well as that mobility. Lamar Jackson with the super speed, of course. So you have two ballers at 99. 100% agree. After that, it gets interesting because you have Joe Burrow as the number 3 rated quarterback. EA Sports has Joe Burrow above Patrick Mahomes. 97 compared to a 95. I would have just rated them. Like, I could have understood. Personally, I have Mahomes at number 3 and Burrow at number 4. I'm not really going to get mad about Burrow and Mahomes being 3 or 4, necessarily the order. I kind of just disagree that Burrow is 2 points higher than Mahomes. Because, yeah, Mahomes hasn't had his best statistical seasons. But he did win the Super Bowl last year, and he did go to the Super Bowl this year, and he's still objectively a very good player. He's maybe not played at that level of Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, but the team success is there. The talent is obviously still there. So even if he's not the top-rated quarterback, which I think is 100% accurate, I still think he should be a 97 or a 98, and I think Joe Burrow should be about the same. So I would just elevate Mahomes to 97, and I'd feel okay with it. Joe Burrow, I like that he got a little respect here for the great season that he had. He passed Tom Brady for the most 250-yard, 3-touchdown performances in a single season. That's an epic season. It's not his fault the Bengals couldn't play defense. Matthew Stafford is number 5, and it's crazy to see the discrepancy, the difference, the gap between number 4 and number 5, but I think that's accurate. In my quarterback rankings and everyone else's, everybody realizes there's a top 4 quarterbacks in the league, right? There's a 4 horsemen, right? There's a fantastic 4, okay? And then after that, it's like, who's number 5? Stafford. Some people would say Daniels. Some people would say Jalen Hurts. Some people might go Justin Herbert. There's a lot of different answers for who is number 5, right? Matthew Stafford, I think, is fair. I'm not going to really argue with that. I feel like Stafford didn't have his best statistical season last year, but when it comes down to it, chips on the table, all in, there's not many quarterbacks in the NFL that you would take over Matthew Stafford, especially in a 2-minute situation, a final drive situation, a passing, just overall skill set. His tight window passes, his arm strength is still there, his pocket navigation, his intelligence, his reading of the field, all that sort of stuff. So Stafford is tough, nails. I understand. The discrepancy between 4 and 5 is maybe a little drastic, like 95 to 88. Like maybe bump a couple guys up to like 90, but I'm not really going to get all mad about that. I don't know how these actual ratings are formulated, so I'm not going to get too into the actual rating itself, more so the order of the players. Jared Goff, I do feel, is a little bit overrated, although I can kind of understand it from the performance of 2024 entering 2025. Like, Goff led the best offense in football. He did have a spectacular statistical season, but then that kind of doesn't really match up with Matthew Stafford being ahead of him. So I'm not exactly sure, like, are they going on longevity with Stafford, the consistency with Stafford? What are they exactly basing this off? I would have Herbert and I would have Daniels above Stafford and Goff. I would also probably elevate Mayfield a spot. I feel like Hurts is about accurate in terms of his placement on the list. I think I would move Goff down a little bit, but I do think this is the top 10 in the NFL. I do agree with this. Entering 2025, I think the other one that might be pretty close is CJ Stroud, but of course CJ Stroud did not have his best year in 2024, so I understand. I would just say like 88, 87, 86, like for 85, it does feel low. Does it not? Like Jaden Daniels and Baker Mayfield, it does feel low to have them at 85. But I would have put Jaden Daniels after the best rookie season that I've ever seen. I would have probably had him, at an 88, 89, 90. I would have put him up there at number 5, especially considering the trajectory, unless Terry McLaurin gets traded, but that's another discussion for another day. Justin Herbert, I think around Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, I'm cool with that. I think the one that Eagles fans, of course, will be upset about is the Super Bowl winner, Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP, Jalen Hurts, only being an 86. So I think the bigger problem here is not necessarily the order with the quarterbacks, it's the ratings. 86, 85 for a top 10 quarterback, that feels a little low. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But yeah, that's my take on the quarterback position. I would have gone Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow at the same. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, the same. I would have then put Daniels, Stafford, Herbert, and even like Hurts, Mayfield, all like 89, 90, 88, around that area, all the way down to the 10th or 11th guy. I would have had at least at 87 or above, but that's just me. Next, we have the running back position, Saquon Barkley at number 99. 99 overall, that's 100% fair. Saquon's coming off one of the best seasons in NFL history. He's also the cover boy for this game, so he's probably ridiculous. But yeah, he had one of the best front-to-back NFL seasons, beginning to end NFL seasons that I've ever witnessed, and statistically, it backs it up. He is the best running back in football entering 2025. He could have won MVP last year. I'm kind of surprised he didn't get more steam for that award. Derrick Henry at a 98. I'm not really going to argue. I feel like Derrick Henry being a 98 and like Mahomes and Burrow being a 97 or 95 does feel maybe like a bit much for Derrick Henry, but like I probably would have had him 97, 96, but I still agree that he's number 2. I 100% agree with that. He had a spectacular year. He nearly had 2,000 yards himself. Then we get to Jahmyr Gibbs. I do agree that he should be number 3. 95 overall feels very fair for Jahmyr Gibbs. Nothing else to be said there. Christian McCaffrey at 94, I can understand that. Christian McCaffrey, honestly, 94 does feel a little low if he is healthy and he's back to being himself, considering he wasn't he the cover boy for the game not long ago, if I'm not mistaken? Wasn't he? Maybe I'm crazy. But also, like, Christian McCaffrey is the best all-around running back in the NFL, so I totally understand, like, when he is healthy, he should be like 97. Like, I could almost understand if McCaffrey was like 3rd on this list at like 97, if we're kind of gauging that he's healthy. But of course, we don't really know that, so they could always elevate him later in the year, of course. Number 5, you've got Bijan Robinson. I think Bijan's a little too low at 92, but I think this will be his real breakout season in the overall like landscape of pop culture NFL. I think that a lot of football analysts and fantasy people realize how good Bijan is, but I don't think he's quite reached it from an overall pop culture NFL casual perspective. So I think he will catapult throughout the season. He might even be the best running back this year, and I wouldn't be surprised, but I would already have him around at 94, 93. 90, maybe even 95. Like, I think McCaffrey just feels like he's a little too low for me so far. Joe Mixon, I do think's a little overrated here. I would put Josh Jacobs above him, especially considering now he's injured. That's kind of a little bit of a deal. I understand Joe Mixon has had really great consistency, a very good year, a very good career overall, and that consistency of being a very good running back on multiple different teams at this point now. So I could understand him around like an 88, 89. I think that feels more fair for Joe Mixon. 91, especially elevated over what Josh Jacobs did last year or what Jonathan Taylor did at the end of last year. And Jonathan Taylor has been the best running back in football for a season, in my opinion. So I would have Jonathan Taylor around a 90, 91. I'd have Josh Jacobs around a 90, 91. Maybe even like Bijan, move him up and then have those guys around 91, 92. Joe Mixon feels like he should be like 89, 88 towards the bottom of this top 10, but I can understand that. And then Kenneth Walker, I like the respect for Kenneth Walker. I do mostly agree, once again, with the top 10 running backs. The one that I would honestly disagree with is Joe Mixon. I think at number 6 is too high, and I would actually throw James Conner on here. I think James Conner had a really, really good year. He's one of the most underrated skill players in the NFL right now. I would have him around 88, 89 as well. I think he's at the bottom of the top 10, but I mostly agree with that top 10. I can't really say anything about it. Then next at the wide receiver position, we have Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson at 99. That is correct. Like, I'm glad that finally a list gave Jamar Chase a little respect for winning the Triple Crown. I mean, how many receivers ever have accomplished that? And like every list I've ever seen so far this offseason has Jamar Chase way too low and way too disrespected. He's the best receiver in football. He's the biggest play threat in football right now. And he does it all, man. He could catch 10 passes in a game. He can go for 250 in a game. He could catch 3 touchdowns in a game. He does it all. He's explosive. He's great with the ball in his hands. He's ridiculous. Like Jamar Chase, 100%, 99. He could have been the cover guy. Like he could have been, right? Him and Burrow could have been the cover guys of this game. Justin Jefferson, 99. Yeah, I understand that. His trajectory right now, the consistency, the year in, year out performance over the last few years. And then, of course, last year, he was pretty much the second best statistical receiver across the board. So putting him at 99, I'm cool with that. Maybe you'd put him at a 98 if like you want to give Jamar Chase that one lone standalone triple crown kind of achievement. Maybe you could put him 98 and I'd be okay with that too. Then we get a little funky. Amon-Ra feels overrated at 96. This probably has to do with I don't know, again, how they actually formulate these ratings, but it could have to do with like the awareness and the route running and all that stuff. Like, yes, his stats maybe could put him at number 4, number 5. And yes, he's phenomenal, but above AJ Brown, above CeeDee Lamb, I don't know about that, So, and honestly, this is the biggest like disagreement I have, the receiver position overall. Tyreek at 95, I can understand because of how ridiculous he was in 2023 and 2022. But in 2024, he did struggle and have a down year. So I understand why he's still a 95 and you want to still rank him amongst the best. I had that problem with my wide receiver rankings as well. I had him a little bit lower. I think I had him at like 7 or something like that. But 95, I can buy that. Amon-Ra, nobody is taking Amon-Ra over CeeDee Lamb or AJ Brown. I mean, let's be fair, okay? Let's be fair. CeeDee Lamb feels a little bit underrated at 95, to be honest. I feel like he's more of a 97. Same with AJ Brown. I feel like he's more of a 96, 97. AJ Brown's only at a 93 for some reason. I feel like because they have so many good Eagles players, they almost had to like make some of them weaker for some reason. That's kind of what I've noticed so far. Also, the guy that's clearly missing here is Nico Collins. I know that Nico Collins hasn't kind of entered the NFL zeitgeist, the NFL pop culture, like I brought up with Bijan. Nico Collins and Bijan are very similar. They're very well known and renowned for their skill across NFL analysts, NFL fantasy people, and people that actually are diehard fans. They realize how good those players are. But in the main pop culture, Nico Collins is not appreciated enough. Nico Collins If you look into his deeper analytics, like yards per route run's been top 3 the last 2 years in the NFL. He should be in that 95, 96 range, along with A.J. Brown, who's underrated here. I totally respect Terry McLaurin and Mike Evans being 94, 93. I would honestly put Evans above McLaurin, but that's okay. I think Evans has proven with the consistency. McLaurin's been very consistent as well, but I feel like Evans has kind of been even more so. And then Drake London, I like at 91. I kind of feel like Puka is a little underrated here, like for Adams to be represented, but not Puka. Puka on a per game basis was the best receiver in football last year, statistically speaking. On a per game basis, Puka was yards per route run was ludicrous, all-time numbers. Like, he was going to have a Jamar Chase-like season. He was going to rival Jamar Chase across the board in statistics. So I would have had Puka instead of Devontae Adams, who I think has regressed a little bit, but I can understand the respect for the vet. So overall, I disagree with this receiver list the strongest. I would have went Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Then I would have gone with your pick of CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Nico Collins. And then after that, I'm going Terry, Mike Evans is cool. I feel like Tyreek is cool in that range. I think that Puka should be in that range. Amon-Ra should be in that range. That would be kind of the way that I would formulate the list. At the tight end position, George Kittle at 98. Almost feel like he could get a 99. But I feel like he didn't have like a historic season. He was very, very good, very strong. Honestly, he had an underrated season. Like, people, without looking at the numbers, would probably say that Brock Bowers had a better statistical output last year, but that actually wasn't the case. Like, George Kittle, best blocker. I do agree with I do like that he is kind of separated from the bunch in terms of he's a 98 and then the next guy is a 93. I would probably say, though, that that's a little drastic. And honestly, like, the ratings here are pretty poor. Like, I think the tight end position is pretty bad. Like, Kelsey is not a 93. Like, maybe he is a 93. I would probably say he's like an 89 or a 90, to be honest. But Brock Bowers is only at a 90. Brock Bowers should be like a 94, a 95. And then Trey McBride should be about the same, 94, 95. Like, I would have Kittle 98. I think that's fair. No 99s for the tight end. That's fine. Okay. And then after that, I would have McBride and Bowers, either one. I'd probably lean Bowers, but either way, 95, 96, 94. And then after that, you can kind of have a dip to like 90, 91, where you've got guys like Mark Andrews, and you can have the TJ Hawkinsons, David Njoku, Sam Laportas. I would have Sam Laporta much higher. I think I'd have Sam Laporta around 90, 91. I'd catapult him up the list. Njoku, maybe a little overrated this year, as much as I love him, in terms of being the 6th best tight end. I don't think he ranks that high. I think Dallas Goedert's in a good range there. Is there anyone really missing from the top 10 here that I think should be there? That's a Jonnu Smith, maybe. He had a great year last year. But I think otherwise, that's a pretty solid list. I think. I feel like it's just out of order and it's wrong. Like, I feel like Kittle and McBride and Bowers are clearly the 3 best tight ends in football, not Kelsey. Okay, Kelsey is no longer there. Next, offensive lineman Lane Johnson at 99. This was kind of not a head scratcher necessarily, because I like that Lane Johnson's getting that love and that respect and that admiration from Madden here to be shown to be the Hall of Fame player and great right tackle that he's always been and is. But the fact that he's the only 99 and on the offensive line, the entire offensive line, guys, there's 5 positions across the offensive line. So it feels like that's a little harsh, like not to have another 99, especially at the left tackle position that currently exists in the NFL. Like, whether it be Trent Williams or it be Tristan Wirfs, who I would put as 99, I feel like there should be another 99 here, right? Like, maybe there's not a 99 guard. I can understand that. I think, most people would look at Chris Lindstrom or Joe Tooney as the best guards in football. Quinn Miners is in there as well, who they actually have as their top guard, which is pretty interesting. So, I would have that guy at like a 96 or 97. I think that's fair. But 99 for only one player on the offensive line, I think even Creed Humphrey might have an argument, for being a 99 at center, considering how much better he is than pretty much most of the centers in the NFL. There's not many others that are in his category. So, I would probably put Lane Johnson and Tristan Wirfs at 99. I'd probably have Trent around a 98, 97, Penei Sewell 98, 97. And then Jordan Mailata at a 96 sounds about right. I think Creed Humphrey should be higher, like a 97, 98, if you want to give that center love. Quinn Miners feels like being the top guard over Chris Lindstrom is a little bold, but I respect it. Joe Thuney, I would probably have 95, 96 as one of the top guards as well. Laramie Tunzel is the one that I don't think deserves to be there. I feel like he's a little overrated right now. I think there's others that they could have gone with. Just trying to think of a couple that come to mind. So Christian Darrisaw is one that comes to mind. Rashawn Slater is one that comes to mind. Who else? I think the guards are pretty well portrayed. I mean, maybe Quentin Nelson. Who else? I think they got most of them right. They have Mailata there. Yeah, they have Mailata. I think that's pretty accurate. I would just switch out Tunzel for maybe someone else. I think he's a little overrated. Next, the edge rushers. Myles Garrett at a 99, the lone 99. And that's okay. I feel like the edge position is one of the most loaded in the NFL. So I could understand if someone else was a 99 at this position. What I disagree with here, Myles Garrett, I agree with. I think he should be a 99. I think he should be number 1. After that, TJ Watt being 2 points lower than Micah Parsons is pretty egregious. TJ Watt did have a down year, but he still led the NFL in forced fumbles. Micah Parsons maybe had some better analytics, some better pressure numbers, win percentage numbers, things like that. I can understand if Parsons is ahead, like 98, or even, like 98, but 2 points, now, if Watt to me should be a 98. I think Parsons and Watt can be a 98, 97 or whatever. I would personally have it Myles Garrett 99, TJ Watt 98, Parsons 97, along with Nick Bosa and Max Crosby being 96. That's probably what I would look at. Nick Bosa, it feels low at only 95. I'm not going to lie. Nick Bosa has been in that category. He's won Defensive Player of the Year. He's a dominant player on a defensive line that doesn't have a lot around him last year. Still thought he played really well. Max Crosby did kind of have a down year, and they didn't really dock him for it the way that they docked TJ Watt for it at 96. And then Aiden Hutchinson feels a little low. Aiden Hutchinson only being a 93. He might be the best player on the Detroit Lions, and he's only a 93. Jahmyr Gibbs is a 95. So they have Jahmyr Gibbs is a 95, and Amon-Ra is a 97 or something like that, a 96. So, yeah, I think Aiden Hutchinson's way too low. I'd have Aiden Hutchinson around 95, 96 but again, if I'm moving TJ Watt up, Max Crosby, TJ Watt at 98 with Micah 97, Nick Bosa 96 with Max Crosby, I'd have Hutchinson 95. I'd have Hendrickson 95. I'd have those guys up. Now, in terms of the order, I think Watt should be 2. I think Parsons should be 3. I think Bosa should be 4. I think Crosby should be 5. And then I would probably, or even Hutchinson should be 5. Crosby should be 6. And then I'd have Hendrickson 7. That's fair. I think Hunter and Anderson should definitely be there. I can understand why Allen is there, but I would have Jared Verse in my top 10. I did on my list. I do think Will Anderson's underrated at 89. He should definitely be in the 90s, 92, 93, 94, in that range. I think Hendrickson, for leading the NFL in sacks at only a 92, is pretty disrespected, to be fair. So, yeah, a little bit of a head scratcher in terms of how low some of these guys are at that position. Next, you've got the interior defensive line. I like that Chris Jones and Dexter Lawrence are tied for number 1. I like that. Now, I would say that they should be maybe more of 98s rather than 97s, but that's a small nitpick. Derek Brown being number 3 after not playing last year is a little head-scratching. I don't think he's the 3rd best interior defensive lineman. I'd have Cam Ward above Derek Brown. I'd have, Jeffrey Simmons a little bit higher. I think the other one that stands out is Nnamdi Madubuike, only being even on the list. I feel like he's way too high. I think Jalen Carter is way too low at only a 90 at number 9. That feels kind of crazy. I'd have Jalen Carter around a 95 or 96. I think Cam Hayward should be a 96, 97, while Chris Jones and Dexter Lawrence should be 98s. I can buy Vita Vea at a 93. I just feel like he's maybe a little bit too high. I'm not necessarily mad about it, but I feel like Jeffrey Simmons, once again, DeForest Buckner, criminally underrated at only an 88 as typical. Quinnen Williams, 91 feels okay, but yeah, Zach Allen is the one guy too that doesn't get enough love here. Zach Allen's probably like an 86, which is insane. Like Zach Allen led the position in pressures. He led the position in quarterback hits, right? Like he should be like a 93, 94. Like he definitely should be high on this list. Matabike is the one that stands out as overrated, along with maybe Derek Brown and Vita Vea. Next, top linebackers. Fred Warner at a 97. Okay, yeah, that's fair. I do agree with the lack of highly ranked or rated linebackers. I feel like there aren't a lot of great linebackers in the NFL right now, or like just standout ballers. Roquan as number 2 is fine at 94. I will say though, Zach Bond being only at number 6 is a little low. I felt like he was probably the best linebacker last season overall from start to finish. So I feel like he should be given like a 92, 93, 94, 95 in that range. I would probably have him ahead of Roquan, to be honest. I'd probably have him at like 94, 95. Bobby Wagner, it's okay. I'm not going to be mad at that. I kind of feel like he's always a little overrated, but whatever. I think Levante David is better right now than Demario Davis. Luakon, 87. Greenlaw, 86. Okereke, 86. I like Devin Lloyd's inclusion at 85 being number 10, but I would say that, Quincy Williams is maybe not on this list. He should maybe be on this list. Who else is missing from here? I feel like, I think they mostly got the right guys. I'm not going to lie. Like, Aluakon feels high. Okereke feels high. I'm trying to go off the top of my head. Well, linebacker's a tough position. They have Greenlaw on there, which I would agree with. Quincy Williams is the one guy that I feel like should be definitely in the top 10. Who else? Like, I really like Caden Ellis. I think he's really good. I really like I'm not sure who I would really be mad about at linebacker. That's not Matt Milano when he's healthy. But he's not healthy. So, I'm not going to be mad about that. I actually kind of think that the discrepancy is the best part about those ratings. I think the main one is Zach Bond is way too low. That's the main thing for me. Next, cornerbacks. Pat Surtain at 97. So he's the defensive player of the year. I think he should be a 99. Like, I think if you win the defensive player of the year, you should be a 99. Like, that's the way I would put it. Like, I'm not even the biggest Pat Surtain guy, but I think he should be a 99. Like, he's clearly seen as the best corner in football right now. He should be a 99. Like, that's my opinion. He should be a 99. I love that Christian Gonzalez got all the love at 95. I love that. I think he could be the next defensive player of the year at this position, or he could be the next best corner in football, right? So Christian Gonzalez being a 95, I actually love that. I just feel like Pat Surtain should be a 99. I think you could put in any order Gonzo, Stingley, and Sauce in those next positions, and even McDuffie. I think Stingley is too low at 6. Stingley at 6. I'd actually have Stingley at 2, as much as I am a Patriots fan. I'd have Stingley at 2, probably at like a 96. So if Surtain's a 97, I'd have Stingley 96. I'd have Sauce and Gonzalez at 95, 94, and McDuffie at that same range. After that, I feel like it's a bit of a toss-up between like Denzel Ward and Marlon Humphrey and Jalen Johnson. I think the guy that's left off here is Christian Benford. I'd probably have Benford above a Ramsey, but Ramsey still being in the top 10 is okay. I just think he's a little too high at number 5. I think Stingley, Humphrey, and Ward are clearly better than him. I'd move Ramsey down the list. Alexander, just being how injured he has been, I would have him down the list as well. I would not have him in my top 10. He might be like 10 or 11 or 12, but he's been too injured too consistently for me to rank him that high. The one that stands out that's not there is Benford. And then I agree with most of the other selections. I just feel like the order is a little wrong. I'd have Surtain, then I'd have Stingley, then I'd have rather Gonzo or Sauce, then I'd have McDuffie, and then I'd have probably the rest. Ward. So yeah, there you go. At safety, we have Jesse Bates as the top graded safety or top ranked or rated safety in the game. That's pretty interesting. 95. I love Jesse Bates, but that's random. That's kind of random. I'm not going to lie. But I do feel like safeties should be, a couple of these guys should be a higher than a 95. Like Bates kind of feels like 96, 97, I feel should be the top safety. And mine would probably be Kyle Hamilton. I haven't done my safety rankings yet, but Kyle Hamilton at a 90 feels egregiously low. That feels very, very low. Derwin James, I like that he gets the respect there as the number 2. Jesse Bates, I would probably say the 3 best safeties in football are Kyle Hamilton, Derwin James, and Jesse Bates. After that, I think McKinney is right after that. Winfield. I really like Brian Branch. Buddha could be in that top 10 for sure. Kirby Joseph, after the season he had, I can understand that. Harrison Smith is overrated at 88. He's not the same player he used to be. I think he's way too high. I'm not even sure he would be in my top 20, to be honest with you. So Minka's also extremely overrated at 92 after the couple seasons that he's had. But I do like that they gave McKinney the boost up to number 3. I do like that they have Bates having a lot of respect here. I think that, again, there's no bigger Bates fan than me. I just feel like Kyle Hamilton is egregiously underrated. So, yeah, I don't know. Next, we've got the rookies. Travis Hunter, I think, should be the top guy. I would maybe have Abdul Carter as the top guy, but I can understand Hunter. That totally makes sense based on his college career and what he was able to do in college. Having him as the top-rated rookie makes sense, especially considering he plays 2 positions. And then also, Abdul Carter would probably be my 2. I'd have him so a little bit higher than Genty, but Genty as my 3 would make a lot of sense. After that, it's a bit of a toss-up for who you would want to go with as the top prospects. I think for a majority of people, Will Campbell and Mason Graham were seen as top prospects. And then a guy that's not here is Cam Ward. Like, how is Cam Ward not above Maxwell Hairston or Kenneth Grant? Guys that went in like the 20s. Not Kenneth Grant, but J.D. Barron definitely did. So that's kind of crazy. I don't know why they wouldn't just mostly base it on like the order they went in the draft. Like, honestly, kind of weird. But yeah, Travis Hunter, Genty, and Carter are definitely the top 3 prospects. 100%. After that, though, whether it be Mason Graham, Will Campbell, or Cam Ward, those guys should be up there. And then a lot of people like Jalen Walker. I'm not a big Jalen Walker guy. I wouldn't have him that high. Michael Williams, I like that he's on there. I really did like Kenneth Grant, so I understand that. But I think like even Kelvin Banks was a really good prospect. So Maxwell Hairston is weird. Like at number 10, I don't know. I like him, but that just feels a little odd. I don't know. What is it, just speed? Like, I don't know. That's a little weird. But Cam Ward not being on that list is crazy. Like, Cam Ward, crazy talk, not having the number 1 pick in the top 10. What an underrated number 1 pick, Cam Ward. Now, let's talk about the offenses, defenses, and team overalls, which I think is actually, like, the most exciting thing. So, the team overalls... the offense and defense overalls here. We've got the Ravens, the Eagles, the Bengals as the top 3 offenses. So in terms of like overalls, again, is this a collective of the talent within the offense which makes the overall? Or is it like an independent unit ranking? I'm kind of not really exactly sure here. But based on overall of individual players, I would think that the Eagles would be number 1. Just based on like the lack of weaknesses and the overall of the players. But yeah, the Ravens should be number 1. And as I've said, the offenses, I had the Ravens number 1. I had the Bills number 2. They're number 5 here. Number 3, I had the Bengals, which is perfectly on the money. After that, I think I had the Lions at number 4, which is perfectly on the money. I had the Niners, I think, number 5 or number 6. The Chiefs feel a little bit too high at number 6, but I can understand it. The Commanders, the Rams, and the Bucks. I actually really like that list. I'm not going to lie. I feel like that's pretty fair. I think the only one that I disagree with is the Eagles being number 2 best offense in football. It's just that if it's based on the player ratings, then yeah, I understand why they're that high. It's more so like the actual offense itself was like maybe the 8th best in the NFL last year, and they're probably going to be about 5 through 8 this year too. So like maybe a little bit overrated there, but other than that, is there an offense that I would have in the top 10 that's not in the top 10? I think that's actually the top 10 offenses in the NFL. The only one that I think is close is the Packers, I would say. Top 10 defenses. Steelers at 1 is pretty wild. Chiefs at 2 is also pretty wild. Cowboys at 3 is egregious. Number 4, Baltimore. Number 5, Texans. Okay. Bills 6. Okay. Broncos 7. Vikings, Lions, Patriots. Okay. Steelers at 1 is bold, but I can understand it. Chiefs at 2 is somewhat bold, but I can understand it. Cowboys is insane. Cowboys is flat out ridiculous. They should not be the 3rd ranked defense in the NFL. No chance. Like, no chance. Baltimore, Texans, Broncos, Vikings should be higher. Absolutely. Based on last year's performance and just overall, I think they should all be higher. I do like the inclusion of the Patriots. I don't hate the inclusion of the Lions. I think a sneaky one would have been the Giants, like a sneaky like projection or that would have been kind of fun if they would have had the Giants in the top 10. What's another defense that I feel like should be here? So maybe the Browns. The AFC East-wise, you've got 2 out of the 4. AFC West, Chargers maybe. They were last year a top 10 defense. So like even like the Cowboys being an 88 and wherever the Chargers are. But again, is this based on the player ratings? If it's based on the player ratings, then maybe the Cowboys are high because of certain individual players' ratings. But I'm not really exactly sure who outside of Parsons. And I didn't see a Diggy Zua's name in the top 10 either. So I don't know. Trayvon Diggs is probably overrated or something like that. But I don't know. So yeah, I think that's kind of crazy. I think the Broncos are too low. I think the Texans and the Ravens should be inside that top 3, top 4. AFC, I think they got the AFC ones right. NFC, I think they got the Rams are kind of a sneaky defense this year, I think. Again, that's more of a projection, though. The NFC South, none of them really have good defenses, so I can't really argue that. NFC West, I think the Niners might bounce back this year, but they have a lot of rookies, so that makes sense. Seattle is one. Like, Seattle, I think, will have a better defense than Dallas this year, and Dallas is number 3. So that's just the most egregious ranking out of them all, I think. And then we've got this one, the team overalls. So this is probably the one that you guys were looking forward to. The Ravens at number 1. The Eagles number 2, Chiefs number 3, Bills number 4, Vikings number 5, Lions number 6, Texans number 7, Broncos number 8, Steelers number 9, and Niners number 10. So I assume this is based on some sort of mix between how good Madden thinks these teams will be this year and also like how good the players on the teams are. I don't exactly know, again, how they rank this, but okay. So Baltimore being number 1, I like that pick. It's interesting that they only have the top-rated team at a 93. I'll just throw that out there as well. Feels a little low, but okay. Number 2, the Eagles is totally respectable. They're the Super Bowl champs. I wouldn't even mind if the Eagles were number 1 based on being the Super Bowl champs and arguably having the most talented roster. Also, I think if we were to go back to every list here, I feel like the Eagles had the most players. So to me, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with their ratings. Number 3, The Chiefs is fine. They made the Super Bowl. Totally understand that. I would have the Bills, in terms of if I'm projecting, I would have the Bills above the Chiefs, but I'm not going to get mad about that. Then you've got the Vikings at 5, which is pretty bold. That's pretty bold. I think that's probably wrong, right? Like, to have the Vikings over the Lions based on last year and even their roster talent, that feels wrong. The Texans at 7 is respectable. The Broncos at 8, based on their talent, I can understand that. Based on how good they may be, I'm not sure, right? The Steelers at 9, if they do have the best defense, I can understand why they're at number 9 on your ratings here. But at the same time, I don't think they're the 9th best team in football. And the Niners at 10 is fair. I think the Rams are missing from this list, right? You're not including injuries with them, so assuming they're healthy, which they are, or they should be on Madden, which probably means that a lot of their players are underrated. That's what it speaks to for me, is that the Rams, they probably have a lot of underrated players in terms of overalls because they're very young, right? Outside of that, I think you could argue the Bengals could be here, especially over a team like the Steelers or even the Vikings or the Broncos. The Bengals could be there. The Chargers could be there over the Broncos based on last year. The Commanders based on last year could be on here, but I understand why they're not based on talent. NFC North, the Packers might have an argument, but I wouldn't include them. I think the Vikings have more talent overall, so that's fine. The NFC South, I think the Bucs should be included here over a team like the Steelers, a team like the Broncos, or even the Vikings. And the NFC West is just the Rams that they're missing. So overall, I feel like, yeah, just some weird rankings for the Vikings and the Broncos and the Steelers. But if it's based purely on the overall ratings, then that's just what they're basing it off. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But there it is, guys. Those are my thoughts, my quick thoughts on every position, every team rating, and let me know what you guys thought. Is Madden right? Is Madden wrong? Leave your opinions in the comments. I tried to scan through and give you my overall thoughts on the top 10, who was missing, who was maybe underrated, overrated. I was focusing on that top 10, so I might have missed on talking about guys that were outside of that, but you let me know who should have been inside those top 10s. That was not. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.